different people, and that they are all so strong. They just like push through every day, and so that's kind of how the name "I Love the Way You Lyme" came to be about, because it's like I love the way that you're handling this disease.
Welcome to episode 2 of the I Love the Way You Lyme podcast. Episode 1 was done with my husband and myself, where he was interviewing me about my story with Lyme. And so this episode 2, is with Lauren Murphree. She is an author, and she's been a friend of mine for years now, one of my really close friends with Lyme. And I'm super excited for you to hear this episode. Something I just wanted to mention as I was going back and editing it and listening, I realized that there are some terms that we probably talk about as far as Lyme goes, whether it's like treatment or different medications, things that we are used to talking about, that listening back, I'm realizing people who aren't in the everyday Lyme world might not know what we're talking about. So I decided each episode, if anyone listening has any questions about a certain treatment or device that we discuss, you can either message me on Instagram, whatever questions you have, or you can email us at info@iltwyl.org. It's info@ilovethewayoulyme.org, the acronym. And I will do my best to either message you back the answers, or I might also be answering some of the questions on the next episode. That way, just in case other people have the same questions or aren't sure some of the things we talk about, it's pretty clear and out there, and people can kind of in some way understand what we're referencing. That being said, we also talk about different treatments that she tried, medications and such. And I just wanted to put a disclaimer out there that when we are sharing the things that we've tried or explaining that they worked for us, we're not saying that they are going to work for everybody. But if you have Lyme, you know that it's all about what works for you and your body. So I think that it's important for people to be aware of all different types of treatments out there, all different types of supplements, just in case they want to try and see what works for themselves. But we are not doctors. We're not recommending anything. And the other thing I wanted to mention is we do laugh a little bit often in this podcast episode because we're friends, and her and I kind of have the same approach, where you kind of can't always take Lyme so seriously because you are having to go through it every day. So you have to make light of it sometime. But I felt like it was important to say that for people who are going through Lyme or have a family member, a friend who's going through Lyme, we're not making light of their situation. We're not making light of our situation either. We just find that humor often helps us get through the pain that comes with Lyme and the symptoms and the hard story that comes with it as well. So you'll hear Lauren's story in depth. And yeah, I really hope you enjoy this episode. I really enjoyed talking with her, and I'm sure we'll have her on again because she has been like a big supporter of I Love the Way You Lyme and is really getting involved with the things we're doing.
This giddy up's a little weird, but here we are.
No, nah, honey, it looks good.
Perfect. I got
You
this
look
flannel and thought of you.
fine and money. Honey, we look like fall.
Oh my gosh. You're going to put that in, and you're going to put it with a...
Okay, let's get started. First and foremost, thanks for being the first podcast guest.
I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah. Good. The first thing I want to get into is your background. So like a little bit about you, who you are, things you love to do, and then also touch on your Lyme story, like how long you've had it, some different treatments you've done, and then, yeah, some of that stuff. You want to show who you were before.
Yeah.
Not before, but.
Yeah.
Before you got the Lyme.
Well, I got the Lyme when I was just a little girl, so it's been a long road.
I used to talk like this.
Now I talk like this thanks to Lyme.
So what are some symptoms you tend to experience? Body pain, brain fog, migraines.
Lyme rage.
Okay. Yeah. Let's do it.
Let's get into it.
All right. So, my name's Lauren, and I am 29 years old. What can I say about myself? I love nature, really love nature. I love kayaking, love doing things outdoors. I'm married to a wonderful man. His name's Andy Murphree. And yeah, what else can I say about myself? I'm an author of a book called Silent Suffering. Right there.
Oh yeah, give it a good show.
Yeah, right there. And then I'm also working on another book called I Have Lyme, Now What? And that's just kind of a journal prompt for people with Lyme. All right, I'm just going to jump into my Lyme story. So let's go. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So I was actually diagnosed with Lyme when I was 9 years old, which a lot of people are like, that's amazing. Like, you got a diagnosis so early. But it definitely, in some ways, was almost kind of more frustrating, which I'll kind of get into that. But so I got diagnosed when I was 9. I was already like pretty crippled. Like it was hard for me to just get from one room to the next. And I had really bad arthritis. I was kind of just like a little old lady. And I was on antibiotics for a while, for probably like a year. It's kind of like my memory is just really, I just have really little memory of everything, but that's what I've been told is I was on antibiotics for like a year. And then we moved to Tennessee. There was just really a lot of chaos going on like with my family. So Lyme just wasn't really on the radar of like everything going on. So we kind of just forgot about it by the time I was like 12 or 13. And I really was like a fully functioning human. I was running. I like was in love with track. Track was like my life. So big runner. And from 13 to almost 18, I was like, I mean, I had a lot of like joint pain and like immune induced issues and stuff, but like overall I was doing really well. And then I moved to Panama. I was doing like volunteer or mission work and stuff down there. And that's when I started developing just like chronic pain, like on the more prominently on the left side of my body. And I started just having a lot of like issues, and I just wasn't really sure what was going on. And like went to doctors and stuff down there, and obviously they didn't know what was going on, and Lyme really didn't cross my mind. And then I went to Mexico. So then I moved to Mexico, and I just kept getting sicker, and it got to a point where it was hard for me to walk, to sit, to really like my mobility was just really limited, and it was just really confusing for me, obviously, and for all my friends and family, because I went from being this like super social person who was like always like just like an energy ball to like just like on like hooked on pain meds and just like curled up in a ball in my bed. And
What were your
so
main symptoms? Was it like mainly the body pain and stuff, or did you have like the neuro stuff then?
the neural stuff kind of like developed over time. I think especially after I did like disulfiram for Lyme treatment. And then after I did the Rife machine, that kind of stuff got worse, where I started having like NB venom therapy. All of those kind of ramped up the panic attacks and
Wow.
like all the anxiety and depression and stuff like that. I'm really fortunate and grateful, because I feel like compared to a lot of people with Lyme, like I've never had any sort of like, I never had to go to like, a psych ward or like any sort of like crazy psychiatric things. I feel like God's just like protected me from stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I would say chronic pain has always been like the number one thing, but then over time it got more like cognitive function got harder and harder, and just a lot of really weird symptoms, like as it's like your
So up
brain
to
just
Mexico, like that was like the pain, like your symptoms then leading up to that when you were older, and then the Panama, that was like the body pain and stuff that was flaring and getting.
Yeah, and I had really bad like endometriosis symptoms too, like ovarian stuff, and so it was mainly that kind of stuff. Yeah, so anyways, fast forward to like being like I came back home when I was 19. From 19 to 21, we didn't really have any answers, and that's kind of what was hard was the people around me didn't really believe that I ever really had Lyme, so that was really hard because I was like, it's Lyme. Like I felt like the Lord showed me like this is Lyme and endometriosis, and so I was just really at a loss of what to do, and it was like a really really painful season for me. And then I finally got to see a Lyme doctor when I was 21, and by that point I was just really not okay. And he put me on like low dose naltrexone, which I know a lot of people have had
LDN.
good results with that, but I didn't do well with it. And then a bunch of supplements and stuff, and then I just kept getting worse and worse, which usually that's the case because you're like treating and you're getting rid of your toxic load and stuff.
Yeah.
But I just felt like he wasn't. I mean, I would see him for maybe like 4 minutes, 5 minutes, like just didn't just didn't like take the time to understand what was going on. And so after that, it was kind of crazy. It's like really when God just set me on this journey, and I ended up moving to Canada, and I lived in Canada for a year, and I saw naturopaths up there, some Lyme naturopaths who were really, really good. And I started, doing IVs and ozone therapy and blah, 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 bee venom, and started really getting my life back. Like I went from being this like crippled girl to like riding a bike and like just doing so much, and like being out in nature with friends, and like it was just really cool because when I lived out there I felt like I just was coming back to like myself, which I felt like I never really like knew who that was because I'd always been so sick. So that was in 2015, and then we had a big hiccup with treatment in 2015 from bee venom therapy. I was kind of like the guinea pig. Like my doctor hadn't really done anybody else, so she just had these vials of bee venom therapy or of bee venom, and it got to a point where we were doing like 12 to 15 injections at once of like a ton of venom, and my whole body just started shutting down, and it was really scary. I completely lost my mobility. I couldn't even get up the stairs. Like it just went from like doing well to like back to ground zero, and I had like a gallbladder attack and just a bunch of stuff. So that was in 2016, and I was like, I don't know what to do. So anyways, then I went to Seattle, moved to Seattle because there was a naturopathic doctor down there who really was confident she could help me with my case. So I ended up living in Seattle for about 6 months, and then I went to Germany. So it's like all kind of a crazy story. It's all in my book.
Yeah.
But I went to
If you
Germany.
want to know more, just buy the book.
Yeah. So this naturopath really believed that the reason why my Lyme had never been like treat like actually in remission and stuff is because she found this like chronic infection in my jaw, and from
The Germany doctor believe that, or the Seattle one?
the Seattle one. So she
Whoa,
sent me
I didn't know
to
that's how you got to Germany.
Yeah, so she found just from like poor dental work, she did this whole scan and everything and showed it to me, and she was like, you have this like huge infection in your jaw. So anyways, she was like, the only person I believe who can help you with this is in Germany. And I was like, really? Germany? Out of all places.
That's like not close, right?
Yeah, so I ended up going out there. Is like I went out there alone for this surgery, and my friend in England was like, bro, you can't speak their language, like what are you doing?
Yeah.
So
They
she
might
flew.
take out the wrong tooth.
Yeah, exactly. So she came, and she literally came and took care of me like that whole time. I think I was there for like 2 weeks, which was such a blessing. But yeah, so we did the whole surgery. It was really crazy. I didn't have any money for the surgery, but I just really felt strongly that I was supposed to go and do it. And literally, like, the night before the surgery, the exact amount of what I needed, which was like $6,000 or something, was like donated on my fundraising page. So it was just
Wow.
like God continually showing up through all those years of me like doing these crazy things. He would show up. So anyways, then I came back to Seattle, and the implants actually fell out of my mouth. That was pretty cool.
So
So
they did remove, didn't they removed? Did you
yeah,
already
they
say
found
it?
like a
Yeah.
huge cyst.
Sorry.
Charlie.
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 No, he's just taking out his trash. Did you already say the part about how big it was removed?
No. So yeah, I mean, they found like a big massive cyst
Yeah, that's
in my
insane.
jaw. They pulled out, and he said it had a nervous system all of its own, like all.
Did you take a picture?
I didn't. I should have,
Oh,
but my friend and I saw it, and we were like, "What is this?"
holy
So
crap.
yeah, it was kind of crazy. And then when I kept doing treatment in Seattle with my naturopath, I just was not getting any better. And if anything, I was getting worse. And so this was in the end of 2016. And at that point, like, I just kind of felt devastated and depressed and like, okay, like, there's really nothing. I just feel like I've done everything. I've gone to the ends of the earth to figure this out. Like, I don't know what else to do. And, so I ended up moving back to Tennessee, and I kept treating. I saw somebody in Tennessee. She was really good, and she kind of helped me just get my feet back on the ground. And she was like pretty uh like not invasive, like just like little things here and there to detox, which was what I needed because I felt like everything I had done was just like so intense. So then by the time 2018 came around, I was like functioning again. It felt like a victory year. Like 2018 was like, okay, I'm coming back, and I was
Whoa.
working and like was living my life again. And then 2019 through 2021, I would say was probably the scariest and hardest part of like the whole Lyme journey. It was just like really, really hard. I don't know how to describe it. It was just, yeah, I did the disulfiram and Rife machine and like was just trying to figure out what to do. Like there were different points in there where my mobility would go way down. I was using a wheelchair for a while there, and you know, I just gotten married, and it was just like, why can't I get this figured out?
Yeah.
So then 2021, I don't really know how to explain everything that happened, but I think it was just a combination of a lot of different things. But I just started finally like feeling more normal, and like started working and started, you know, just doing more and more things. And I think it was like such a process of like, I mean, it was a lot of different supplements, and I was doing brain retraining. I wasn't in a moldy environment anymore. I wasn't in high EMF, like all these things that had been like preventing me from getting better. I just started like living and really started trusting myself again and being like, your brain and your body can do this. You can do this, you know? And so, yeah, summer 2021 was when I started like truly healing. And since then, I mean, it's been a little over a year. We've had COVID twice, and like I'm still healing. We literally just got COVID like 2 weeks ago, and I'm just like blown away by how much better my body and brain can like handle so much. So, yeah, I mean, you got me on the protocol with a great doctor, and he's been wonderful. So he's been really helpful. I'm seeing him again next month. But yeah, that's kind of in a nutshell.
What was
Yeah.
crazy to me when you came to visit, I just think it was like a little bit of a bad pit health wise. But then when we like went to the doctor and you got all these answers, I feel like a lot of it wasn't anything you hadn't known. It was just finding like the right stuff that would work for your body. Maybe it was a timing thing. I don't really know. I feel like a lot of stuff I'm still trying to like wrap my head around and understand. But from when I picked you up at the airport till seeing you now, like even just that little amount of time, which is just a couple months, I can see a huge difference. And it's just crazy, like, first of all, how we can go through so many up and downs, and sometimes you don't even know like what's doing it. It can be your environment or whatever, but how much better you're doing, even like with getting COVID a second time. Yeah, when you would come, you were, I feel like you were still recovering from COVID the first time too.
Yeah. Yeah. It was crazy, man. I was really, and it was such a stressful time too. You know, stress is such a huge part of it. And me and Andy were trying to figure out what we were doing, you know, like, should we move back to Nashville? Because Colorado was just really, really hard. So, yeah, stress is a huge part of it. But yeah, no, it is crazy. It's really cool to have like a friend who understands Lyme, but also like has seen me in different seasons, who like can know me better and like understand. Because a lot of people who don't have Lyme, they're like, you were great like 3 months ago and now you're like not. It's like,
Yeah.
well, that's how it works. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And like know it and understand it. Yeah, I remember when we first met, which I guess I could tell like a little bit about that story.
Yeah.
So I don't even know if I had just shared like one or two of the like vlogs I had made, which I think I'm gonna be like re-releasing soon. And Sam reached out and like messaged me or something like that and told me like she had Lyme and she has a friend who has Lyme, and I can't remember like who messaged who. Somehow you and I got in touch, like, yeah, do you want to come over? And I remember like calling my mom and being like, this girl has Lyme. And at the time I had shared my vlogs, but like I hadn't really met, that I can remember, anyone with Lyme in person yet. I think I maybe had talked to a couple people online, but like my like solid like Lyme friends that I have now, I really didn't have like anyone.
Same.
And so like I remember thinking like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna meet someone in person who like maybe understands what I'm going through or can help her or whatever. And so I remember calling my mom and like being so nervous about going to your apartment, because I'm like, what if this person like is lying and like wants to kidnap me? But I just remember like walking into your apartment and it felt like such a peaceful place, and you being like so open and like willing to hear my story and me telling you. And I just remember you understanding every single thing I had told you. And at that time, like even some of my closest friends that like at the time, or even some people I'd grown up with, I hadn't even been like, hey, this is my life story health wise, because like, well, first of all, when people have been there your whole life, you don't really feel like the need to tell them, because it's like they'll see glimpses of it. But also you don't like want to tell a lot of people if you know that they're not going to like understand. So I remember like sitting there and feeling like so seen and understood and just like floored by the whole thing. Like the love that like you and Sam welcomed me with meant so much. That was so cool. Yeah, and then I remember hearing your story, like, because we swapped stories when I was there, and I just remember being like, holy crap, this girl's traveled the whole world to find healing. It's really nuts, because you like, to me, I feel like a common theme in most people I've met with Lyme is like resilience and like determination to find an answer, no matter how many times like you get told like that you don't have Lyme, or that you're not really sick, or all of these different things, that you're not really in pain. But um anyways, like I think that you're so resilient, and the fact that you just like flew to Germany by yourself, or like went to Canada, Seattle, that just, I don't know, I just feel like that's so brave. I think that's really cool.
Thank you, friend. We're both brave. You're very brave too. So
brave. We are brave. Wait, should that be the new theme song for I Love the Way You Lyme?
We yes, that would be great.
We are brave and we behave and we have Lyme.
Oh my god.
Oh, okay.
Oh, friend. Yes.
So that's your now you're treating still. like on the regimen, and overcoming feeling like the effects of COVID
Yes.
2.0. Yeah.
2.0.
And then when did you start writing your book?
I started writing it, I believe, in like 2015 when
Oh,
I
whoa, that was a while ago.
moved to Canada. Yeah. And was just working on it for a long time. And then it really wasn't until like 2020 when I was super depressed and like had really nothing I felt like I was living for. And I just felt this like just such a deep like yearning and desire to just like finish it. And I was like, all
Well,
right, I'm gonna do it. So I finished it 2021 and released it at the beginning of this year, and yeah, it's been awesome.
crazy. I remember when we had first met and you were telling me your story, and I remember you telling me you were going to write a book.
Yeah, I feel like people say that all the time, and it's like, do they
Yeah.
actually do? I was
Well,
really
right.
surprised I actually did it.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things you're working on, and people can get that on Amazon. And then do you have what? Oh, and is it the Kindle version that's available on Amazon too?
Yeah, it's so for 3 months it's like on the Amazon. You can get like the Kindle app and stuff, so it's there. And then after that, I'm gonna release it to like Apple Books, like all the other platforms.
Cool.
But I'm still learning, like with my first book being published, I'm learning like what's the best way to go about it. And then I'm still working on my audiobook and stuff like that. So, and
Cool.
also working on my second book. So,
All right, so we'll link the Amazon links for your book, or people can type in Silent Suffering by Lauren Murphree. Also, tell me about your podcast.
yeah, so I started my podcast in like April, I think. Yeah, April. And it's called Healing Lyme with Lauren, and it's really just sharing people's stories. Like I was still like when I started, I was like, I don't really know what this is gonna be, and I've kind of been like sifting out like what I want it to be, and that's really what it is just getting raw and real with people and hearing all these other people with Lyme, and also other people's perspectives. So like my husband's gonna share this weekend of like, you know, what it's been like for him, and then um this guy I just had on, his name's Hayden, his wife is gonna be on soon, and she's gonna share, you know, what
Whoa.
it was like for her. So, you know, just kind of understanding all different perspectives and how devastating it can be for everybody. And you know, the motto is just healing together. So, you know, for so many years I didn't like, I'm so thankful like for our friendship, but it's just like to have people who I feel like I could cry because it's just like people who understand what's up, what you're going through. Like you might not
Yeah.
feel like it's that big of a deal, but it's kind of been a game changer for me to just like actually start having that support like regularly instead of just like, yeah, let me talk to this person like once a year. It's like
Yeah.
these people understand, and it's really cool. So that's been really healing too, and really fun. So
You're
yeah.
doing a lot of things with that because, like, first with you guys connecting, like, you guys are relating. So that I feel like automatically feels healing because you are understanding like each other's stories. So you're both feeling like heard and understood in a way, even if it's been a little bit different. There's always so many common denominators, I feel like. So
Mm-hmm.
that's cool. But then also you're giving them an outlet to share their story where they might not have an outlet, or they might not have like a way of getting their story out there, which it could go to just their family members and their friends, or it could go all over the world. Either way, it's doing good because they these people that you're interviewing, like, how many people are close to them actually know like everything that they're going through. So
Yeah.
that also gives people, like, I feel like, a way to be heard and understood. And also, obviously, I feel like the third thing it does is like just keeps spreading awareness. And one of the things that I have written on the I Love the Way You Lyme website, which I'm like, to me it makes sense. Hopefully it makes sense to other people, but I don't even know. It came up when I was doing like the intro for I Love the Way You Lyme a couple years ago, but I just kept having it in my head, like, people can deny facts, but they can't deny your story.
Yeah.
And I think for me, like, I was thinking about it the other day, and I'm like, well, can they deny facts? Like, because everyone's like trust the facts or whatever, but like from the Lyme point of view, it's like no one even knows. Half the doctors don't even agree on things, or like no, so it feels like there are no legitimate facts half the time. So I think that's why it makes people or I think that's why people tend to deny Lyme, or like deny people's stories, or for really the pain. Like I can't stand when people don't believe that people are in pain all the time just because they like look normal and like look happy. But so people can deny like what they've heard about Lyme, but they can't look at someone's like podcast or book and read all of these like different stories or examples and think that many people are like lying or just want attention.
Yeah.
There's like that TikTok thing, like that poor girl. I was gonna reach out, but she probably has so many people reaching out who like Daily Mail like wrote an article about
Oh, I saw this. Yeah.
how like all these chronic illness, invisible illness people are like trying to draw attention to themselves and stuff like that, and it literally made my blood boil reading it. And I don't think they were just attacking, like I don't even know if they were specifically attacking Lyme. They were talking about people who have like invisible illness, which obviously like Lyme falls under that.
Yeah.
But anyways,
Oh, I know. I saw it. And I saw like pictures of girls in ERs with like, the tube on them and all this, and they're like just broken. And the lady's just posting it on there like, man, these girls just want attention.
It's like if they want attention, they could wear an outfit that gives them attention. Why would they need to go stick tubes in their chest? That doesn't make any sense.
I know. Just like you were trying to get attention when you were having convulsions and, your whole
Yeah, I
body.
was really bored, so I just started shaking my body like crazy. Look at me, Mom.
Hey, Mom.
Look what I can do. Anyways, okay, cool. So we talked about your first book, your podcast, and then this other book you're writing. I love the idea. You told me your idea about doing like one specifically for Lyme. To me, I'm like, oh, that makes so much sense because it's like a targeted thing, and it's because it's going to be coming from someone who has experienced it. You're going to be able to ask like so many, or have people like answer so many questions that maybe it'll help like them like resolve stuff in themselves. And
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know.
So
I think
many
that's
questions.
so cool.
Yeah. So many questions I wish I would have asked myself like 10 years ago. So it's like just, all about, some of them are just really logical treatment questions. Some of them are heart questions. Some of them are about self-care. They're kind of all just different questions that I think will help people process through, how can I more efficiently and effectively like deal with this and get through this and have good relationships through it and all of that. So
yeah, and it's like allowing them to check in with themselves.
Yeah.
Which I feel like is kind of hard to do when you're just trying to like make it every
Survive.
day sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the things that you have on your page. I called it Lauren's favorite finds.
Oh, I like that. Lauren's favorite
Yeah,
finds.
your favored finds. Because recommendations was so like doctors like recommend, and like we have favorite finds. So all of your like items that you're gonna, or products or supplements, whatever, books are gonna be listed on your page for people to like click the link and go find them. But yeah, do you want to share some of them?
I might just take some right now because I really could use some chlorella.
Just to show that she loves it.
Man, chlorella really gets me going.
What is that? What drink did you take it with?
Dr. D's. Love this, man.
What is it? Probiotic?
It's like a gut drink. Yeah.
Whoa.
Makes me so happy. Like water kefir just makes me happy. It makes me more like easy to be around. Yeah, I know there's like a couple videos and stuff which I still need to send you. One of them's the sermon by Brooke Lidgerwood. She's just amazing. Every time I hear her, I'm like, dude, she's amazing. But stuff like that. And then there's a lot of supplements. I have a few in front of me. Like chlorella has been my best friend for about 7 years.
Can you tell me what this one does?
So chlorella, basically, it helps with binding heavy metals, stuff like that. But also for me, like it helps with my mood. Some people say it helps bind up like mold toxins too. I don't know like if that's accurate. I'm not a doctor. But yeah, I mean, like my friend a few years ago told me, man, every time you take, she calls them my happy pills because she's like, once you take them, your brain is a little bit
Whoa.
happier. So yeah, I take that pretty much every day. I started taking Plexus like last summer, and it to me, I was like, really, like these supplements, are they going to help me? But I've been consistently taking them for a year, and even with COVID and everything, just having really good gut support has been like huge. And like the vital biome, that stuff really helps with my mood too, because I'm telling you, chronic pain
So
kind
wait,
of messes with your mood. So
yeah, for real. What do you do? The pink drink and then the vital
vital
biome?
biome, bio cleanse, it's a good
Oh,
one.
I
And
used to love BioCleanse.
yeah, man, helps you poop.
Yeah. If Andrew were here, he'd be like, ew.
Guys,
But like
stop
I always
talking
tell
about
him
this
like
kind of stuff.
that stuff isn't TMI if you have Lyme because you're just
Exactly.
used to talking about it.
Exactly.
So
No, Plexus is
back
actually
off, haters.
I know. I was listening to him on yours and he was like, "Yeah, that's TMI." I'm like, "No, Andrew, it's not."
No, Andrew, you're TMI.
But yeah, so Plexus is so that's and I take Mega X too. That one's like omega 3s, which is really good for especially post COVID. You got to be
Yeah,
up on
with
your
your
game with
brain.
omega 3s. But yeah, that's pretty much the supplements I take from Plexus. And then I don't know. I mean, there's other stuff. I have like a whole pharmacy everywhere. It's just like, I like diatomaceous earth. I don't know if I've talked about that, but that helps
Okay.
with parasites. It's
Do you drink
literally
it?
it's like a powder. It's literally like dirt. It's really weird. It's
Whoa,
like from
I
the
think I've
earth.
heard of it. And
Yeah.
what do you do? Mix it in water?
Yeah, you start off really low, I think like a quarter or a half of a teaspoon, kind of work your way up to maybe like a
Whoa.
tablespoon every day. And then like ATP, I just started taking that.
What's ATP?
ATP really helps with your mitochondria. So like a lot of people with chronic illness, they never address because like your hormones and your is it mitochondria? I think that's the word.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah.
Like until that gets balanced, a lot of people say like you don't resolve the chronic illness. So I've been taking ATP,
Interesting.
which definitely gives me like more energy and stamina, and like I'm able to be more active and stuff. So yeah, those are kind of some of my recommendations. I'm trying to think of anything else. I couldn't do caffeine for years and years and years because of all my heart issues, but I've been taking I don't have it in front of me, but it's called Relight and I love it. It has like I think it has ashwagandha
Oh,
and
ashwagandha? The mushroom?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And a bunch of like other little like herbs that I love that like make me feel
Whoa.
good on top of green tea. So it kind of like boosts me up but also chills me out at the same time.
It's
So
like
I
an
love it.
energy thing, but not too much.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I do that too. But
And then go back to the diatomaceous earth just to clarify, it's not actual dirt. Like people can't just go mix 1/4 teaspoon of
no, it's
dirt
not
in their
actual
water,
dirt.
right?
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like clay. It's like it's
Oh,
kind of like
okay.
clay, but it's from the earth. I really don't understand, but it's amazing and it helps with like skin health too. You can do facials with it. It's just
Oh, you know
amazing.
what? Yeah, I don't know if it's the same clay, but I used to use one of those for skin facials and then you drink a little bit and it helps you detox.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love drinking dirt.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. What helps you with Lyme? Dirt.
And you got me into the headache cast.
Oh,
It's
we should
one of my other
totally.
favorites.
Did
We
you
should
link that on your page?
I'm gonna link it.
Okay.
Literally, my whole family is like you live in that. You just
Yeah.
you wear it
You
all
should
day
get a
long.
sponsorship. For
I
real.
should.
Hold it up and put the name.
Yes.
What's the name of it? Do you know?
Feral Ice RX. I have 2 of them.
Okay. If
and
anyone knows anyone that works at Thera Ice RX. Listen, I have one of these. I literally sleep in it because it doubles as a sleeping mask.
Yes.
Because it goes over your eyes. But my one request, and then maybe I could actually submit a support ticket now that I think about it. They need to figure out a way to keep it cold a little bit longer, just a little
Mhm.
bit.
Mhm.
But either way, the pressure feels so good. Sometimes even when it's not cold, I'll just wear it because it's just like, I feel
Yeah.
like it just makes me feel, it's almost like a hug on the top of
Yes.
your head.
A hug
It's a
on your
forehead
head.
hug. Yeah,
Yes.
a head hug. Do you have a headache? Well, you should get the head hug. So, okay, so let's go back to the different things you do. So like whether it's writing or yeah, like doing your podcast when you're not feeling well, what's
Mhm.
something that you do to try to like keep going
Mhm.
with like all the passions that you have? Because I feel like it's really easy to just not.
Stop. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. A few things. I would say one, like number one for me is just getting in nature. Like when I'm in nature, I just come back to life. So if I'm like really having a hard time, even if it's like difficult to get out, I'm like, all right, I need to go kayak or I just need to go to the park and just like be in nature. It just really helps ground me and like make me think more clearly. Another one would be just knowing when to stop and go. So I feel like
Mm.
for so long I just like wasn't trusting my body, myself, my intuition, and so I was like pushing when I couldn't, and then like it just like I wasn't understanding myself. And now it's like
Mm-hmm.
if I know I have to stop, I'll stop. Like everything that needs to get done will get done in the right time. So I don't have to like freak out about anything. So I feel like that's been a huge one, just like trusting myself and like
Mm-hmm.
what my limits are and stuff like that, because then once you come back the next day you have like so much more energy and more like clarity of what you're supposed to do. I feel like usually when I rest I actually like gain more clarity on like what I'm
Mm-hmm.
supposed to do next.
Yeah.
And then like not comparing myself with others. Like I feel like a lot of times you can be like, oh, you know, look at that person, like they have all
Mm.
these followers or whatever it is, and it's just like, well, like we have no idea first of all, like in God's eyes, like what we've done, like whatever it is, like if it's a
Yeah.
podcast or you know, it's like the value. I wrote something out yesterday. I need to find it, but it was like just a thread for Instagram, and the whole thing was talking
Mm-hmm.
about how like you can actually make a difference in the world like from your bed. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
No, that's so true.
Um and I forget what it was that I have to find it. I meant to pull it up before this podcast, but you know, like for me, as soon as I started seeing Lyme, like instead of seeing it as an inhibitor to all my hopes and dreams, it
Mm-hmm.
was actually like almost like a catalyst. Like, wow, I have
Yeah.
so much more purpose in my life. I actually like seeing it so differently.
Yeah.
Like that changed things to where it wasn't like I was trying to fit myself into this box and be this certain type of person and work this certain type of job. Instead it's like, oh, like this is actually God's calling on my life, maybe,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know? So that, and then I feel like for so many years I was preparing for disappointment,
Mm.
and so no longer
Well,
preparing for disappointment. Like it's hard not to do that and
yeah.
like to hold hope for the future, but now instead of having like being scared or being like this isn't going to work out, being like dude, this is going to be awesome, you know,
Yeah. You say that
whatever it
all
is.
the time. No, in a good way. You do.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, my husband is like, you're very optimistic.
No,
And
it's
I'm
so
like,
good.
yes, I am. I have to be in order to like be okay.
So I totally like feel you on the disappointment thing. The way that I see it, I don't know if you feel this way, but the relationship you have with your body when you're in pain all the time, like it's like you feel like almost like your body's betraying yourself. It's like such a confusing like way to live, and it literally feels like you're almost in constant conflict. So you kind of like have to do things like ground yourself or like go in nature. So I feel like that's like a really good point. But shoot, there was something you said. It was the third point, and you said,
Not
what was,
comparing myself with others or
oh, oh no. So not to compare. So that I totally agree with that, because in my opinion, it's like, well, one, our followers don't show us our value. Like, one, God shows us our value, and two, we can show ourselves our value, like just by loving ourselves.
Yep.
But it was a thing that you said after that. Shoot, my brain. You said
No longer preparing for disappointment, or did I say
it was
something
in
before that?
between that. You said something in between that I was like, that's such a good point. Oh, you said okay, this is what you said. You said it's kind of funny because we both can't remember, but then like if people are listening to this and they have a really good memory, they're probably just like, what is wrong with these people? But
Lyme.
wait, I'm gonna forget it.
Oh,
It was the thing about, oh my gosh,
oh, hate freaking brain fog.
this happens all the
Everybody,
time, and I
this
think
is an
Andrew thinks
intermission to think about all
intermission.
your friends with Lyme and how hard it is.
I'm gonna put music in where it's like do 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 do. This is the thing that happens with Andrew, and he like, I think sometimes he thinks I'm like messing with him. I'm like, no,
I think mine does
it's
too.
gone. It's just not there, but it's almost here because I'm gonna get it right now. You said that your purpose. It was something to do with your purpose and how you're like, oh wait, like God's using this is like the way to get to your hopes and dreams. And I literally was thinking that the other day because usually when I write a song that has to do with like pain or Lyme, I feel like I'm usually sending it to you because a lot of times it just feels like in the moment, one, it feels like this huge relief because I just got something out that I like needed to say that I didn't know I needed to say. But then I have almost like that like aftertaste feeling of feeling like, ooh, is that too dark? Like, is that going to scare people? I know it won't scare you because I know you can relate. But I feel like I'm constantly having this kind of controversy in myself because I don't purposely sit down to write a song to make people feel a certain way. It's like literally just like, this is how I'm feeling. And I find hope in knowing that like people will relate because I know that you relate and I know that other people who have Lyme that I've talked to relate. It's hard not to be afraid of like the other people outside of the Lyme world who like don't know what it's like to be in pain and wonder if like sometimes I literally am like with that song Pity I put out, like I'm wondering like, oh my gosh, like are they just thinking like she just feels bad for herself? Like I don't know, all these different
Yeah.
things. It's really hard not to overthink, but a couple of the things that I've told you, like the recent doors that seem to be like being cracked open with I Love the Way You Lyme and like different ways that I feel like God's blessing I Love the Way You Lyme or like showing up and showing how he's providing, not just with I Love the Way You Lyme, also in my life. But I have recently had like this like peace and calmness, and maybe I've had it and I'm just noticing, I don't know. But I for so long just wanted to be like a songwriter. Like the songwriters in Nashville when I lived there were like they could walk in somewhere and someone knew they hit a hit, but they weren't like necessarily like on tour in front of people, but they could write a really good song and people knew they could write a really good song. That's all I wanted. Anyways, if my purpose in music isn't to be a songwriter, if like God's plan for me is just to write these songs like as I feel like they're coming because I need to like detox almost and feel good. And if that touches like just my friends who have Lyme, that's totally okay. As long as I'm like still writing and like getting all of that stuff out of me because I feel like writing feels like a cleanse. And I'm like getting to play and enjoy even if it's like just around where I live. That's like enough for me. That's like one of the huge things behind the I Love the Way You Lyme artist and collective thing. And I'm sure I've said it before when I've been explaining like the initiative, but I think back to when I was like bedbound for a couple months with Lyme. This was like before stem cell treatment. And I was back at my parents' house for a couple months before I officially moved back from Nashville. And I remember like all I could really do was like lay there, listen to worship music and sermons that Renee would send me. And it was like such a lonely time, but then also such a like filling time with like God. But during that time, like I just remember thinking, okay, I'm not going to be able to stay in Nashville, like especially if I do stem cell and I can't heal on my own. I was at a point in my life where I couldn't take care of my body. I couldn't take care of myself. I couldn't really work, so I couldn't pay like the bills. I couldn't even take care of like my dogs. And I was like 23 or 24, I can't remember, just feeling like, wow, all my friends are like healthy, living in Nashville, like living the dream, getting to play like shows and writers rounds and like write with people, co-write with people, like that's so cool. And I don't know, for so long it just felt like I can't believe God's like taking this away from me.
Yeah.
But then now, like, look at how he's using me. I wish that I had what we're doing with Artisan Collective, where like I could have like listened to another musician talk about her journey with Lyme
Yeah.
disease and how she's still doing music, even if it means like she's just writing songs from her bed and posting them online. Yeah, I don't know. So it's cool. It was really cool to hear you say that because I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what I want other people to feel. Like, you want to be an author, but you're sick, like write from your bed or, whatever it is.
So good. It's really, really good. Hey, writing, like, same for me. It's like writing is such a healing detox. Like,
Mhm.
when I really get into words, what has been going on internally for years, it's like, whoa. And then for it to actually bless others is like, whoa, that's
Yeah, that's
amazing.
so
So,
nuts.
yeah. Anyways.
Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine like how it felt writing your book because I know sometimes when I just write a journal entry because I'm like just trying to get stuff out of my mind and then I read it back. Sometimes I don't read it back, but when I do, I'm like, oh wow, that's how she feels. Like that's how
Yeah.
she feels inside. I can't imagine how it would feel to like write a book and go and read it. And obviously you're editing it, so you're like reading it multiple times and have to like see what you went through or like I guess read what you went through. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I know your book has already helped so many people and I know it's just going to keep helping people. So, that's cool. I like this is going to sound so corny, but really thank you for using your gift cuz like
Yes, thank you. And
yeah.
same to you, man. Seriously. Like,
Yeah.
I've told you before, but seriously, your music specifically like touches my heart in a way that no other music does because it's like, oh my gosh, this person understands. Like, it's just
Mm.
crazy.
Well, that means a lot to me because I feel understood. Like
Oh,
instead of feeling like I'm just writing something and
yeah.
feeling like it's dark, like every time I have sent you something and you like say it means something to you, I'm like, oh wow, okay, this does make sense. And also I feel in a weird way, like not validated in a negative way, but I feel
Yeah.
like validated, like, yeah, these feelings, whether it's like the physical pain or mental or whatever is real and it's like okay. And I also get to see like Lauren's going through it and she's doing it. And yeah, I was gonna say one of the things that maybe you want to add to your list that helps you is calling a friend.
Yes. 100%.
Which that's hard to do because I know you and I have said before, like sometimes you like forget you can like call someone to
Mm-hmm.
talk to them about it. And I know every time we get off the phone, I'm like, oh, I so needed that.
Same. I know. I just heard Dr. Caroline Leaf. I don't know if people know who she is, but she's like my favorite. And she's talking all about perspective lately, but she was talking about the support perspective and how that is like the game changer when you actually have
Well,
people who support you and you can talk to. And I was like, yeah, that really has been the game changer for me too. So you don't really, because
mhm,
I think we're just both like, and I think a lot of people with Lyme are, but I think we're especially just people who like keep going, and just like whatever, like just like throw things to the side. And if your husband's
mhm.
like, why are you? And it's like, you don't get it, whatever. And then all of a sudden you like break down and you're like, I'm in so much pain. Like, what do I do?
Yeah.
So it's so nice to have a friend who gets that.
Well, and it doesn't, I don't know if it feels like this way for you. And I know sometimes we'll like start the conversation out with like, hey, like, are you in a place where you can like hear
Yeah.
how I'm feeling or whatever? Cause you always want to be like sensitive
Yeah.
towards whatever the other person's going through. But I know for me, like, I usually just feel, I don't ever feel like weighted. Whereas I can't imagine how it feels for like Andrew or like my mom or my dad or my sister, whatever, when I talk about like the pain I'm in, or even just like any family member really, because like they must feel, I know how much they love me and they must feel like, I don't know, what can they,
Helpless.
yeah, like helpless. And so I don't, that's not usually, I mean, I feel like I go to my mom and Andrew for everything and like my grandmother, but that's not my first person I want to tell about the pain, because it's like you almost feel like bad,
Yeah, you want to
or
like protect them.
yeah, exactly. It's definitely a protection thing. And so being able to like go to you and like our other friends with Lyme, it just like that makes so much sense that she's talking about how important support is, because it's so needed. And honestly, like I love the way Lyme's Instagram, you go through and there's just so many people suffering. Like it's literally insane.
Yeah.
That's like one thing that I really am excited for. I love the way Lyme, when we have like the place for the online community, because like you and I have that, like we have community with each other. And I know you have other friends with Lyme and I have other friends with Lyme, but like how many people are where we were when we first started off and they
Yeah.
don't have anyone?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, like thank God you walked into my life and Sam walked into my life and Renee, and he, I really believe, like orchestrated that. But
Yeah.
yeah, I can't imagine for like those people who like are posting online and they don't have a friend that they can talk to, or the
Mm.
people who aren't posting online and they still don't have someone to talk to. So
Yeah. Definitely.
anyways, this is kind of funny because it's like almost like what our, besides, I mean, it's not like every time we're on the phone we like share our Lyme stories because we
Yeah.
already know each other's Lyme stories, but this mostly just felt like when we hang out on the phone.
Yep. Definitely.
Can you list like, not maybe all the symptoms now, just like throughout your whole Lyme journey? So when you first started having Lyme up until now, I know the main thing was the pain. And then like I know it's easy for me to say like neuro symptoms and you know what
Yeah.
that means,
Yeah.
but can you get like super specific and just like list out all your symptoms? That's
Yeah.
just because I think it's important that way if anyone's listening and they know someone who may be suffering with any of those
Yeah.
symptoms.
Definitely. So
Okay.
I'm just going to read it off in my book because it's all right
Oh
there.
yeah, good. Okay.
Okay. So, I, like Lyme and then all the co-infections I've had, typically those manifest in my body and brain as peripheral neuropathy, unbearable neck and back pain, brain inflammation, loss of energy, loss of consistent mobility, jaw pain, tremors. Like this is like all in. This is everything. So heart palpitations, organ pain, weakness, numbness in various parts of my body, cognitive dysfunction, arthritis, losing control of things in my hands. I hate that one, man. Heat intolerability, memory loss, insomnia, chest pain, like ruptured ovarian cysts, which I think that's like solely due to Lyme, because endometriosis, a lot of women with Lyme have endometriosis. Panic attacks, fits of rage, those are great. Depression, anxiety, no appetite, nausea, extreme sensitivity to sound and light, heart rate skyrocketing when going from lying down to sitting or standing, slowed motor skills, heart and lung weakness, muscle spasms, tendinitis, mood swings, like a lot. I mean, body aches, abnormal body temperature, dizziness, vertigo.
Wow.
It just goes on,
That's
man.
so crazy. So wait,
So,
hold on. The a couple things. One, the endometriosis thing. I had one doctor tell me, which it's like, again, I know we said like how do you know what is what? But I had one doctor tell me that they believe that people with endometriosis, well, isn't it that they either have like Lyme or Epstein-Barr?
Epstein-Barr, Lyme, and like parasites, and it's like that unresolved, like in your ovaries and guts, and
And
it
it
like
causes
turns.
the
Yeah,
endometriosis.
yeah.
Yeah,
Because
and then
I can say from experience when my parasites, when I started getting rid of hundreds of parasites and Epstein-Barr actually started getting treated, I was having like almost completely normal period. Like I was like, whoa, my periods aren't like I'm dying every month. So yeah,
yeah.
100%.
And that's the same thing with the fibromyalgia that I've
Yeah.
heard. And
Yeah.
the thing that makes me so mad is because the one, whatever, I've actually heard this from multiple doctors that with those two things, that endometriosis and fibromyalgia, they're like, yeah, look how much money they make on either like the surgeries to remove, and then obviously it comes back. So like it's like a money making thing there. We could
Mhm.
go into a whole episode of this.
Oh,
I
yeah.
know
I've had
and we don't have to, like,
two
oh my
laparoscopies to get 'em.
gosh.
Yeah.
And then the same thing fibromyalgia, like they're on the steroid or drug or whatever it is. But
Yeah, which
um
actually is really bad for your immune system and actually just progresses Lyme worse. So, yeah.
but then we have to say, but we're not doctors, so
Yes.
no,
Not doctors.
or what's it, opinions.
Yeah.
Don't take my advice.
Yeah.
However you say
Consult
it.
a doctor.
Oh yeah, please consult a doctor.
Yeah.
Where can people find you on social media? We'll link your social media is linked to your page, but yeah, like where are you most active and stuff?
I would say like Instagram's kind of where I'm most active now. Facebook was my thing like years ago, but now Instagram. My
Mhm.
name is lowmurph93, and that's about it.
Cool. And then the last thing I just remembered, are you still doing the support calls?
Yeah, I still do support calls with people. I offer just like free 30-minute, like if people want to talk to me, and then it's like $20 an hour if you really want to talk to me. But I mean, I'm not a doctor, so like
Yeah,
some
just more
people,
for
if
like
they just want
advice and
support or if they want to be prayed for or if they don't want to be prayed for, like it's just an option for people. So yeah.
yeah. Okay, cool. Alrighty, well, this was fun.
Yes.
Come back now, you hear?
All right. I will.
Okay. If you liked listening to Lauren and you really just love listening to her and her voice, go listen to her podcast, Healing Lyme with Lauren, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. It's everywhere, right?
Yeah, Spotify, Apple. Yeah.
Go listen on everywhere.
Yes.
All right, cool. Thanks
Okay.
for joining me today.
Yes. Love you, buddy.
Okay, love you too.
Lyme rage.
All right. Bye.
Bye.